Wow. I'm gonna go up the road and, oh, that's pretty far up the road. I don't feel like doing that. I got a long walk home. Holy shit, I got a long walk home.
You ever have one of those days? One that only a motorcycle ride will cure? Well, I've had one of those days. So I'm getting on my Africa Twin for one of my get lost rides in the Jiffers region. It's about a half an hour before sunset, and I'd figure I'd just do a quick ride. 20 minutes or so of getting lost, 20 minutes of finding my way back. I'm in the last stretch, about 10 miles from home. You know one of those days I was talking about earlier? Well, it just became worse. My chain snapped.
I don't think I see any damage. Wow. I'm gonna go up the road and, oh, that's pretty far up the road. I don't feel like doing that. I got a long walk home. Holy shit, I got a long walk home. I wonder if I can get an Uber. Wow, this sucks. It looks like it just snapped and flew back. Let's hope there's no damage to the engine. No oil or anything dripping. All right, I better get moving. All right, got the bike all loaded up. It wasn't easy. I didn't want to film it because I didn't want to load fail. But driving down the road here, and take a look here. There's the chain. And we'll see where it failed. And it failed exactly where I expected it would. Oh, it didn't. I thought it'd fail right there at that clip, but it didn't. It failed at the rivet. Wow. Super surprising.
We'll head in the garage together and take apart the Twin to see what damage there is, and install a new chain and sprockets. We'll talk about chains, sprockets, and how I chose mine. Hopefully we'll all learn something new along the way. Let's get started. No chain on here at all right now. Broken chain guard. I'm gonna disassemble everything from all the way here, all the way back. Trying to investigate, see if there's any more damage. I'm really hoping not, but I won't know until I get everything apart. I'm gonna start with this chain guard. As you can see, it's all busted up. What's great about Honda is usually they stamp the part number on the part that it is. So they're really easy to find online. All right, let's get started taking this thing apart. All right, so I got the chain guard, chain keeper thingy off. Broken two different parts when that chain whipped around. Thank goodness it whipped around and flew back and didn't get caught up in the drivetrain or in the wheel. You know, we all complain about plastic bits on our bikes, but I question that if this is a metal piece, what that chain would have done to that metal piece, and then the catastrophic failure that would have happened while I was on the bike. I was pretty safe on the bike, as you saw earlier, driving down the road after the chain flew off. There we go. That might be enough to make it work. I think I see a part number. God, I love you, Honda. 405-110-MKS-E0. Drivetrain case. Easy enough. Here's the chain to my Africa Twin. It's a 525 X-ring chain. The front sprocket on the Twin is a 16 tooth and the rear is a 42 tooth. Okay, how did I choose the chain and sprockets for my Africa Twin? Well, I looked in the service manual. Well, the service manual is a great Bible for any repairs or maintenance you're gonna be doing on the Africa Twin. It's not necessary to replace your chain and sprockets. It can also be found inside your owner's manual. But if you don't have your owner's manual, you can easily find this information online. These are the easy ways. Maybe you have an older bike where the owner's manual has been long lost and you don't have the chain info you need. If you're like me, you want to know not just something complicated works, but also the how and why. Boy, DJI is really taking this whole dead cat thing seriously when they design the looks of this thing. All right, so how do you choose a chain? First, there are two types. Standard and sealed. Sealed chains have O-ring rubber seals squeezed between the plates and inner links. These O-rings seal in grease and keep water out, ensuring that the pins and bushings are bathed in lube. which greatly extends the life of the chain. The O-rings do create a bit of drag each time they spin around the sprockets, sapping power from the rear wheel. X-rings are a variation of O-rings that are more compressed between the plates and links. The benefits of a sealed chain are less required maintenance and longer life, but it does come at a higher cost. Non-sealed chains are mostly used on off-road bikes where dirt can get in between the links, speeding up wear. Though, unless you're itchy boots, you're likely not gonna have all the miles on your bike and on that chain to wear too quickly. Though it will require a lot more maintenance than a sealed chain. With dirt, lowered expense, and lower horsepower of off-road bikes, it just makes a lot more sense to use a standard chain. Standard chains are also used on older bikes. I'm looking at you, Harley panhead and knucklehead guys. Can you even put a sealed chain on a classic Harley without too much loss in horsepower? I'm not sure, but I'm sure my Harley friends will let me know in the comments. There's 3 different series of chains. There's the 400, the 500, and the 600 series. The 400 series is mostly used on low horsepower, smaller bikes like the Honda CRF 50. 500 series will encompass most of the motorcycles you ride, from a Rebel 500 all the way up to a CBR 1000RR. I promise you, I picked those bikes at random, but I'm sure my love of Honda machines is showing my bias. The 600 series chains are for higher horsepower machines or older bikes before the lighter 500 series became popular. In your manual, you'll see a 3-digit number representing the size chain you need. On some chains, it'll be stamped right on the links. You'll see 420, 520, or like my Africa Twin, 525. The 3-digit number is shorthand for these measurements. Let's take the chain that came off my Africa Twin as an example. So the measurements are in 1/8 inches. This is a 525 chain. The first of the 3 numbers is the pitch. That's the distance between the rivets, and it's depicted in number of 8s. Using the caliper, we can see that it is 5/8 inch between the rivets. So the first number is 5. The next number is the minimum gap between the links and is also expressed in number of 8s. When we measure the gap between the inner plates, we get 5/16. That's 2.58. Drop the decimal and put the numbers together and you get 525. If the gap was 3/8, it would be a 530 chain. If the gap measured 1/4 of an inch, it would be a 520 chain. 1/4 inch equals 2/8. Make sense? Is it confusing? If it is, back the video up a little bit, watch it again, maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. How about we do a quiz? You measure a chain and you get a pitch of 3/4 of an inch and a minimum gap of 1/4 of an inch. What series of chain do you have? Leave a comment below what you think the answer is and I'll reveal it at the end of this video. What about sprockets? If they look good and they have no visible wear on them, is it okay to reuse them to save some money? Sure, but chains and sprockets wear out together. If you wrap a new chain around sprockets that have 5K miles on them already, that chain is going to wear out a lot faster than if you replace it with new sprockets. For sprockets, you have a choice between lightweight aluminum or a heavier but more durable steel. It might be appealing to go for an aluminum sprocket because you'll save on rotational weight, eking out a few horsepower. But it's a softer metal than steel and will wear out much more quickly. Your owner's manual will tell you the tooth count for each sprocket. Stick with the stock figures for simplicity. But in some cases, you may want to change how the bike handles in certain riding environments. In general, decreasing the tooth count on the front sprocket or increasing it in the rear will result in more low-end torque and greater acceleration. Great for off-road riding or accelerating from stoplight to stoplight, but it will reduce your top speed. Increasing the tooth count on the front sprocket or decreasing it in the rear will result in lower RPMs at higher speeds and less low-end torque. This is perfect for highway riding and long-distance touring. This is a simplistic answer for all of this. If you truly want to understand how sprocket tooth count impacts your drivetrain, a deeper understanding of your current setup is really necessary. And if you make changes, know that you'll need to adjust the chain slack or even the number of the links in the chain. Going up or down in tooth count is also going to throw off your odometer and your speedometer. So do your research carefully when you're planning on making any changes to your $20,000 adventure bike. All right, let's get these sprockets on and chain installed and get out for a ride. All right, you've made it to the end. What's the answer to our quiz? If you recall, the measurements are 3/4 of an inch for a pitch and 1/4 of an inch minimum gap. That's a big ass 625 chain. Did you get it right? Thanks for watching, ride safe out there, and keep your wheels rolling in the right direction. I'll see you in the next one. Boy, it feels good to be doing this again.